Come with me if you want to live.
Where are we headed with all of this? With technology increasing in advancement ever so rapidly, it almost seems like things aren't real right now. What are we looking at? What are we experiencing? Hollywood shows our deepest fears within some of their features to where robotics or artificial intelligence take over the world, ending humanity as we know it, leaving us in a dystopian future. However, what if things were different? What if we could use technology to enhance our abilities? What if we could use it in our everyday lives to make the world a better place? Come with me as I talk with Paul Helenski today about the future of AI on Veteran Success Story. In the very first in-person recorded episode of Veteran Success Story, we partnered in collaboration with Reveille Grounds. Reveille Grounds is located on Severn Street in Baltimore, Maryland. Reveille Grounds serves as a co-working space to where they have meeting rooms, conference area. They even have a spot for your kids to hang out while you conduct business on the location. Pretty cool. But I think where Reveille Grounds really shines is its ability to foster community through this particular space and the vision that they have. This mission, this place, belongs to us all. Welcome to the third episode of Veteran Success Story, where I sit down with Paul Hylenski, Marine Corps veteran, author, director, entrepreneur. The guy even has a TEDx speak out there that went viral. I mean, there's not much that he can't do when he puts his mind to it. More specifically, though, in this episode, I wanted to talk with Paul about his work with a program based in artificial intelligence known as Vet Mentor AI. Vet Mentor AI was something that Paul created in order to help with the VA claims process. And at the tail end of this episode, we do a breakdown that's about 15 minutes where Paul literally does a walkthrough step by step to show just how easy it is. The most exciting part is that we've gone from something to where it's been an initial 70% rejection rate to an 83% first time go utilizing Paul's program. It goes through, it looks at your medical history and creates documentation for the VA and for your doctor that helps streamline the process. So bear with us. This was the first on-location episode. Therefore, a few different things in the way of sound quality. The camera's a little different if you're watching on the video end of things. But the show's growing. These are just some of the things that we're going through as we find our roots. But this is, all in all, an extremely exciting episode. I'm so happy to have been able to do this at Reveille Grounds and have the opportunity to talk with Paul here and share this information with the audience. So without further ado, here's the episode. Hey, we're talking with Paul Hylenski. He's an author. That's actually where I first met Paul, was at a Barnes & Noble event. Dealt with a bunch of local authors and stuff, but then it just built into a relationship to where he did one of my library events, and then in turn I ended up doing one of his. But I will say, Paul, that very quickly I felt like the dumbest person in the room at yours with the secret code of influence for people. Just like what you've done out there and what you're doing out there with veterans. It's cool to see. You know, Paul's the director of an aerospace company.
Yep.
You're in large aerospace company, but also an entrepreneur. But you're taking that talent and like your personal approach, and you're building it into artificial intelligence and stuff that you're doing within the veteran community with Vet Mentor AI, which is something that we're going to talk about later on in the episode. But this is something that can take, it's revolutionizing. It's changing the way that you're going to be able to deal with your veterans exams. So putting in for a veterans claim.
Yep. Yeah.
We'll have the train coming.
Yeah.
This is what happens when you do an in-location.
It's live. It's great. It's perfect. So yeah, absolutely driving leadership. Leadership for so long has been really 1980s style leadership of people don't matter. And now it's changing. Right?
Yeah.
And so you brought up the AI, and we'll get to a lot of AI in this episode, I'm sure. But what if AI could actually make leaders more human, right?
Yeah.
And what it does is it allows us through leadership and through the use of AI to actually cultivate and engineer the environments around us. And we can engineer environments around us for success. Like we can literally engineer the environment our teams are working in to help them succeed.
Yeah.
Where before this wasn't even a thing that we knew how to do.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things that like fascinated me about in the secret code of influence, like taking small things from human psychology and making it into something that you're not only are you increasing the safety within the workplace, but you're also creating happier workers at the same time. It's like making these win-wins within there. Like the one in case that I'm thinking of is like, okay, a very modern, very real problem, cell phone,
Absolutely.
on the work floor, huge distraction. But making it to where, hey, you can be on your cell phone. We have no problem with that. You just have to be behind the line. And the fact that they're behind the line, but also visible by everyone else there. Like, explain a little bit more about, so it's just so cool.
So most companies nowadays are saying, okay, you're going to put your cell phone in your locker and you don't have it your entire day. Well, and I'm sure your viewers and listeners know how they feel when they leave their cell phone at home, or they don't. They feel like something's wrong. Now, add to that the majority of the newer generation in the workforce has been literally brought up with an iPad in their hand and watching videos. And now they are immersed in this technology. And then they go to the workplace and they feel where now they're stripped of the technology, right? So what happens is when people feel fear or they feel that pain, they revolt or they resist, right? So the psychology behind that is, I don't want to take your phone. I want to give you the autonomy to have your phone, because if I don't trust you enough to have a little 3-inch or 4-inch thing in your pocket and not use it to damage me, do I really trust you with thousands and millions of dollars with product? What message are we sending to our teams? I don't trust you with a little phone in your pocket, but I trust you to do these jobs that produce millions of dollars of revenue, right? It's the wrong message. So if we go to our people and just take a different approach, I trust you to have your cell phone.
Yeah.
I want you to feel comfortable to call your family, your sick kids, any type of calls that you're going to make, but you have rules and there's boundaries, right? And now with those boundaries of just simple walk out of your work area and sit near the aisle.
Yeah.
Right. And that way, everyone else around you sees you. So you're safer. Nobody has to worry about you being distracted and not seeing a fork truck, or distracted and creating defects. And now there's simple guidelines. And part of the problem with business is we tell people to play the game of business, but we never tell them the rules.
Yeah.
So it's like handing two people a gift card to a store. Your card has no known value. My card has $200. Every time we pick the same exact item up, you're going to feel anxiety. I'm not, because I know the game and I know the rules to the game. So it's very important in our work areas and even in our life with children, where we set clear boundaries so they know how to play the game.
Yeah. And that's also the mark of a good leader right there. I mean, that's like some of the things that you're doing within there, and showing that, like, it's, hey, you're supposed to be mentoring the people under you. You're bringing them up. You're teaching yourself out of a job in some of these instances and stuff. And that's another thing. I know I constantly see hey, my manager once told me. So yeah, I mean, why don't you talk about a little bit of that there? Because like some of the pushback that you faced and then ultimately overcame, you ended up being this particular guy's manager, which I know he's probably, you might be seeing something down the road.
And that's the best part. And so like I came out of the Marine Corps where they teach you, okay, it's total leadership. You have to care about your Marines. They're your family. They impact your life. And so then I went into the civilian world where it's very different. And I had a manager who would publicly humiliate people. He would do these things that people now see as archaic. Call me in crazy on weekends and call me on vacation. So much so that I had to start going on cruises because it was the only vacations where I could actually say I had to turn off my
Yeah, you have the excuse.
yeah, I didn't have any excuse. And so what I learned throughout that 11, 12 years was there's got to be a better way. And so then I went to work for another leader in the same exact company, but was totally different. When you'd make a mistake, he wouldn't yell at you. He'd say, what'd you learn from it?
Mm-hmm.
What else could you do? And what I realized was, as that leader was actually going on into, the retirement, I realized I don't have to be like the other guy.
Yeah.
I just thought I had to be like the other guy. So then I started to do things like put psychological safety in, use psychology and science and manufacturing. And I got laughed at. I mean, that person actually, they used to joke about me in meetings until I'd walk in. The company, engineers in the company actually wrote memes about how I would destroy the company because I went out and said to all the workers, if you make a mistake, you are not in trouble, provided you raise your hand and tell us exactly what you did, the full truth, and you helped us fix it. If you did those two things, you had zero retaliation, no matter how bad the mistake was.
Yeah.
And it changed everything, because when people fear making a mistake, they lie, cheat, and steal their way out of the mistake. And you never fix the real reason why it happened.
Yep.
But they feel safe. And to tell you exactly what happened, instantly, you find out the real answer and then you fix it so the next person doesn't make the mistake.
That's actually, have you ever read Principles by Ray Dalio at all?
Pieces of it, yeah.
Okay, so that is one of the things in there, is about not being afraid to make, like, where management is like, no, it's fine, like, because you're identifying the failure points. Honestly, we're becoming better through the mistakes, fail hard, fail fast, and then make the change.
Well, and it's even more tied to psychology. So there was a psychologist and a man who did a lot of studies on human error, and his name was Jen Rasmussen. So what he came up with is the avoidance theory. And what it says is that the more that you try to avoid something, the more likely you are for that something to happen. So here we are in traditional environments saying, don't make a mistake. Well, now the people are focusing solely on not making the mistake and not on the process itself. And what he said in his studies and what he showed was people were almost up to 11 times more likely to make the mistake when they were told not to make the mistake.
And it's because they're focusing on
exactly.
Whether it's like if you are driving a car, and you look in one direction, like, oh God, I don't want to get in that accident, and this is going from racing, experience there. That's where you're going to end up. It's like, no, you look where your exit strategy is.
And it's also, the human mind is literally biased towards negative. And a perfect example for your listeners and your viewers. If I were to tell you, right, and I tell you, don't think of an elephant. Most people just thought of an elephant because I said, don't do it.
Yeah.
Right. And so what happens is it's hard to avoid it because I'm telling you and I'm highlighting. It's also the red car theory. If you're going to purchase a red car and you're really intent on looking at a red car, and that's really what you want, all that you are going to see while you are driving is the red cars. Yeah. They existed there before. You just didn't notice them. Yep. But now, because you've fixated your mind on something, you have a higher chance to actually identify it. And the same thing can happen with success. If you're fixated on success, you have a higher chance to achieve success rather than just not thinking about it and not, basing your mind to that strategy.
Yeah, that's kind of some of like, hey, surrounding yourself with the people, or surrounding yourself with the information that you're trying to delve towards success or towards that particular goal. That was one of the biggest things when I was going to college. I had an hour commute in between, and I stopped listening to music. I was like, hey, I want to start listening to long form podcasts. Why not take that extra time to expand my knowledge base? Whether it was, I was going to school for marketing, so I was learning more from podcasts. I would take this information in a class and the professor would just be like, you're spot on, but like, where did the heck we didn't teach that? Or like, we're not even there yet.
Yep.
I'm like, well,
that's it. When people start driving or having like this innate driven ability to try to learn, an obsession, right? Yeah. When you start turning learning into an obsession, now all of a sudden you're leveling yourself up, and it is beautiful how that happens. There's a compound effect. I mean, in the book Atomic Habits, they talk about getting 1% better per day.
Yep.
Right. And if you were to get just 1% better, that's one thing a day you complete, or one new thing you learn a day. At the end of the year, you're 37.77 times better than you were at the start of the year. Now compound that 10 years.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you have changed your life in the matter of just a few years. And it's so possible by just learning one new thing a day.
Yeah. And it's those small increments, and
Mhm.
you're getting to take that in, you're learning it well instead of like this huge grand scheme all at once. That's where a lot of people do make mistakes.
And that's where they get frustrated, right? They're instantly like, I can't do it because they're trying to boil the ocean. But if they just said, hey, today I'm going to learn how to set a microphone up. I want to be a podcaster.
Yeah.
I want to set a microphone up today. Tomorrow, what type of microphone should I get? Right. And then you just do one little piece every single day. And at the end of the month, you know how to build an entirely, beautiful podcast video, right?
Yeah.
And all it took was just maybe 30 minutes every single morning, watching one YouTube video, reading 10 pages out of a book. That's how I wrote my books, was 10 pages a time.
Yeah.
I just, in the mornings, I would say, I'm going to write 10 pages. Some days I throw it away. Some days I was like, that's great, but the rest of the pages aren't. And just through that, that's how I wrote the book.
There's quite a few people out there that say that, like, hey, every day be writing. It doesn't
Mhm.
It
Yep.
doesn't matter if it's crap. Just download something.
Yeah.
And try to be a little better about it. You were saying on the negative end. So now let's talk a little bit about the positive. Where were you making those breaks within work? Because you started saying that they were making memes about you.
Yep.
You were facing a lot of opposition there, whether it be the pointing their fingers and laughing at you, but I've seen it too in the way of bringing something to market. At first, people don't really, you don't
Yep.
have that backing.
Exactly.
A lot of times they all look at you and, look at this guy, and everything. And then it gets quiet because they start to see that progress.
Yes.
And then you start getting the pats on the back of, man, you made it,
You did it.
like, and you look back and you're like, a year ago, that was the guy making fun. All right, I know where he lies,
Yep.
but at the same time, that is just how humans seem to operate. Where did you start to see that change?
So it was the strategy that which I changed. So the first, if you're ever going to change anything in the world or market any kind of product,
Mhm.
you want to use the Rogers law of diffusion. So there is a normal distribution, and it looks like a bell curve of every human population known to man, right? And the first 2.5% of every population, no matter if it's your group or your team at work or even in the military, there's the first 2.5% are your innovators. So think Steve Jobs, Elon Musk. Those are the people that are just thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
Then the next 12.5% of the people are your early adopters. They're the people that you say, hey, we're going to change this. And right away, they're like, we got you. Right. And so they're on board no matter what.
Yeah.
So then the next 34% are your early majority. They wait. They see what the first 15% does. Then they slowly start to go. Then the next 34% is your late majority. They're the skeptics. They're in the background saying, it's not going to work or whatever. And then the last 16% are what they call the laggards, right? So they are the last to get on board with any change. And some of them never do, no matter how good it is. And so one thing I had to realize was in any change and in any environment I have, 16% of those people were the laggards.
Yeah.
So the people making fun of me were the laggards. And that just kept my mind in a sequence of, okay, as long as it's not the majority or more than 16% of the population,
Got nothing to worry.
I know that it's just statistics. And then they say you need about 20 to 25% of the population of any kind of group to adopt a change or a product, right? Marketing, this is huge in marketing.
Yeah.
And it's called crossing the chasm, right? So that little 20 to 25%, once you get more than that adoption, you start to get mass adoption because the rest of it starts to look like a tidal wave instead of a normal distribution.
Yeah.
So what most people do wrong is they focus on the majority. They say, I got to go and I got to go attack the majority where the biggest numbers of people are. Wrong.
Yeah.
Wrong. You focus on the innovators and the early adopters because right there's 15% of the people. So you almost have 15% out of the 20 that you need.
Yeah.
So what I did was I focused on the leads. I did surveys, and the people who were so excited about the survey then got to do sensing sessions.
Mm-hmm.
Then they got to be in exclusive groups. Well, now I was basically building this army of early adopters.
Yeah.
And what happened was all of a sudden the early majority people started wanting to be in it.
Yeah.
And so when I started crossing the chasm, you could start to see the defects going down, the injuries going down. So then I had the data, and every week I showed the data. Every week I showed what we had done for the previous week. So you started to see a chart just keep going down like this, and everybody's like, oh my God, it's working.
Yeah.
And then you started to get the people, the late majority that were making fun of me were like, we believe in this now. Right. And then
What's happened?
yeah. And then when you truly do something revolutionary and you truly impact people in a deep way, that 16% of laggards actually starts to shrink. So I would say we're down to about 1 to 2% of laggards that, still don't believe in it because we've shifted everything. And it's so amazing to see that because it's all statistics. So if people go to change and just realize why people resist change.
Yeah.
So what's 5 times 5?
Yeah, 25.
I'm going to put you on the spot.
No, it's all good.
2x equals 10. What is x?
2x equals 10.
Yep. So x is 5, right? So perfect. And all of your listeners and everybody are probably like, okay, that's easy, right? But if I were to have you put a calculus 3 problem right behind us and say, please answer this.
Yeah.
Everyone would be like,
give me a hot minute.
It's a hot minute. Some people will be like, I have no clue what that is,
Yeah.
right? That's what we do as leaders. We say, we're going to change it. Now, we know basic multiplication and basic algebra. That's all calculus is. But you don't know the formula. And what happens is when I put the complex formula that you don't understand behind me, now you start thinking, I'm not good enough. They're going to replace me. I don't know. I'm going to have to learn, right? All these things are fear that cause you to resist the change that's happening, right?
Yeah.
So as leaders, we need to clearly give the team the formula. We need to explain the why.
Yeah.
We need to explain what we're doing so that when we pop that formula and the problem up, they understand. They know the formulas. They know why it's happening. And now all of a sudden that fear leaves and instantly the resistance leaves.
Yeah. So that's on the side of what you did within, where you're working now. Let's talk a little bit about, you have Quantum Leap Academy, which is like taking a lot of these concepts and teaching it forward, as well as your 2 books, which is Secret Code of Influence and
Arrow-proofing humans. Those were the Amazon bestsellers and everything. The Quantum Leap Academy. So I realized, okay, I started putting AI into business. And I realized, well, I have a lot of free time now, right? And I was like, little things that you would never notice, like writing emails, policies, procedures, even learning, right? I would literally read a book a day by uploading it into ChatGPT and saying, tailor this to a director of an aerospace company. And it would read that book and give me only the things that a director of an aerospace company would need to know.
Oh, wow.
Right. And so instantly I was able to read and consume material and learn material faster than anyone around me. And so once I realized the power of AI, I started at Quantum Leap Academy, and then I got it accredited. So where normally you'll take AI classes or you'll take AI certifications, and they're not accredited only to who's given it. So if you take a Google one, it's normally not accredited except for outside of Google.
Yeah.
So what I did was I actually took the painstaking process of building the curriculum and then submitting the curriculum for accreditation.
Yeah.
So now when you take courses on Quantum Leap Academy, you're getting a formal accreditation with a professional certificate.
Yeah.
And so the students that I've had, over 40% of them have gotten promoted within a year of taking the course, and over 30% are making $20,000 or more a year just by taking that. We did a blind survey for our students.
That's wild.
And within a year, because the workplace is changing. All these companies, about a third of the companies you interact with on a daily basis have already integrated AI into their processes. But the problem is their people that are trained on AI are lacking. Right? I mean, even NASA just came out with a chief AI leader and everything, right? So all these large organizations are starting to adopt AI and actually hire for AI positions. The problem is there's not enough AI trained people.
Exactly.
Then the more you get higher on the seniority scale, right? So as you go through the different generations, the less and less that they actually have adopted or even know. So a lot of the coaches that we rely on, right, because they're the most knowledgeable people in the industries, and most business leaders right now are baby boomers.
Yeah.
And that's why in the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to have a lot of churn.
Yep.
But those baby boomers are now being usurped by, Gen X and Gen Z and everybody that know and adopt AI, and they can't compete.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm trying to change the world for everybody and make everybody on a same level playing field, right? If you could go through a 1-day course and learn how to literally do all of your administrative tasks in a business with AI, right? And so you'll learn the practical parts of AI and a little bit about the book stuff, because you need to know some of the book stuff.
Yeah.
But the majority of the training that's available now just teaches you book stuff. It doesn't teach you how to practically use it. And that's where I pride myself on the academy. By the end of the different levels, you're building a fully integrated AI software as a service that you can monetize. And you know everything on how to design it and build the AI into it and everything. And it's incredible to see these people. Like we have 5 students right now that have taken their software as a service and monetized it. So now they're making money from their AI platform.
Yeah.
It's just really amazing because it shows the world like that you can learn no matter where you are, right? No matter whether you think you're the smartest person or if you think you're not the smartest person, you can learn AI in a way that you can change your life.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's really on how, it's tailored too, to like what it really is exciting times that we're in. And I know a lot of it too, like you just said right there, you're taking away that admin side, that's a whole job right there.
Yeah.
Or, depending on how you structure your work week and stuff, that's just a massive time saver.
It is. I mean, we did one for a real estate company, right? So they were writing ad copy. So what they had was basically all of the real estate agents would go on paper, they'd write things about the house they were at.
Yeah.
Right? Like 2 bedrooms, 3 bath or whatever. And then they would take it back and they had a receptionist who would literally and she had a bunch of different templates on how to write ad copy. And so what we did was we actually created an automation. So it's a Google form that they literally fill out. So the real estate agents would fill out at the place. And when they hit submit, it starts the automation. So it sends it to ChatGPT, who's trained as a professional ad copy writer. That would literally write the ad copy for them. It sends their manager a spreadsheet with the ad copy, the address, all the details. Then it actually sends an email to the real estate agent, and it had all the ad copy and creates a Google Doc so they can copy and paste it into Redfin, Zillow.
Yeah.
And they did it all in less than 30 seconds. By the time the real estate agent got back to the place, it was already done.
That's awesome.
So when I did that, I sold that for about $3,500. Now, I included in the contract that they would not terminate or lay off the employee that this was replacing. It replaced her. So her salary was a little over $40,000 a year. They bought that for a one-time fee of $3,500. And they actually took that young lady and they sent her to school to be a real estate agent.
Yeah.
And now she's one of their agents.
Man.
Right. And that's where people are afraid that AI is going to replace your job. Right. And that's why we have to learn AI. Right now,
you have to think differently.
You do.
Change your frame of thinking.
Yeah.
It's like where instead of it's working for me.
Yeah.
Like with the intro and stuff here for this, our machine's going to take it over. And that's, I was really surprised when I saw something with, something that you would never think of, Sadhguru, at the AI conference. And they're like, who invited, an Indian guru to this thing? And it's really, but that personal end of things or that humanity end of things is really, I think, what they were going for. And they asked him during it, what do you think about all these fears and stuff? Is AI, AI is going to take our jobs. Like, we're afraid here. And he said, I'm glad that it's taking your jobs. And they're like, what? Like, and they didn't understand the answer, of course, is, those mystic answers and stuff. And his response was just awesome. Just the fact that it gives you more time to be a human.
That's it.
And what you're saying right there is it's life-changing.
Yeah.
And that's actually what I wanted to really talk about here is Vet Mentor AI.
Yes. So proud.
Man, I had mentioned something to one of my friends there that he does government contract proposals. And he's like, wait a minute, who is this guy? Like, just because the concept here is amazing.
Yep.
On how, and then even to generate Nexus letters. So, I mean, we'll talk about that in a minute.
Okay.
Let us know, what is Vet Mentor AI?
All right. So once I realized the power of AI, I'm a Marine Corps veteran who struggled with getting their disability forms and getting their disability
A
claims
lot of people do.
processed. A lot of people do. There are over 1 million pending claims right now. And statistics are that 70% of all claims are actually rejected. So 70% of those, right? That is a stark number. And the majority of the reasons are because of a technicality, lack of documentation that they realize they need, and even it could be that they didn't have the right forms filled out.
Yeah.
And so what we've done is we've basically taken military members who we did not train as lawyers.
Mhm.
And when they come home to try to get benefits that they deserve, they have to literally turn into lawyers. And what
Yeah.
happens is they get frustrated because they get these rejection notice. So they're forced to actually go to lawyers who do take exorbitant amounts of fees. And now the new thing is where they actually pull percentages from you.
Yeah.
And it is the most decrepit, practice that ever existed.
Yeah.
And so I aim to change that. So what we've done at Vet Mentor AI is we've literally built an AI platform where you fill out a simple form. We've made it to where, a 90-year-old veteran could fill it out, as well as a 25-year-old veteran could fill it out. And what it uses, it actually uses the background knowledge of the VA rating system and the CFR to actually analyze their disability claim.
Yep.
And it even allows them to see what secondary claims they're available, what medical information that they need. And it actually summarizes everything in one comprehensive report. So from that report, you can actually generate a nexus letter, which most veterans know you're almost forced to have to pay for. You're forced a lot of times to go to these companies that don't know you, and they generate a nexus letter for thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
This actually gives your own doctor comfort because it generates the nexus letter based on what you said, and it even provides them medical documentation from journal reports and other credible citations so that they can literally feel comfortable signing your nexus letter. The other thing it actually allows the system to generate a personal statement for you.
Oh,
and
nice.
it prompts you to make a 4138 Bravo form, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you don't put it on the proper form, it is inadmissible.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
Doesn't count. And then finally, for our high anxiety and PTSD driven veterans, they're forced to go to these CNP exams
Mhm.
and relive the worst time of their life. And they're forced to go there and be perfect. Well, now you add in high anxiety or PTSD, and most of them don't say what they need to say.
Yeah.
So what we've created is a speech-to-speech application with an avatar. So it's a real person that you're talking to. It looks like a Zoom call. So, and what they do is they do your entire medical exam.
Oh, wow.
And you interact with this person. And so we have different avatars that are coming out, and I'm actually putting them in white coats because a lot of veterans have a white coat syndrome.
Okay.
So by rationalizing it and getting them to relax and actually do their CNP exam before they go in, they are better prepared. We're actually implementing it where it actually gives you feedback on what you said at the end.
Oh.
So if you said, hey, I had 2 to 3, or I had a few headaches every single week, it will tell you to be more specific and to tell the impact, because sometimes these CNP examiners don't ask you.
Yeah. And we don't know the language either.
Exactly.
I know, like, one of the things for me when I was going through my own exams and stuff, I was really thorough on a lot of stuff through my military career. People were, oh, why are you going to sick call? Look, I'll be back. Like, it's not like a sick call, like go disappear. I just want to document it and I'll be right back, and I always was. So they kind of left me alone on it. But then come back around, when I went, I was actually massively surprised. I had no idea I was really going to get much of a rating, and then came back and they were just, man, you really had your paperwork, and
Yep.
handed me all the stuff. And I was like, whoa, how did this happen? I had no idea how I got the rating that I got, but at the same time, I'm happy that I did.
Yeah.
But I hear a lot of stuff from other guys now at this point, like, hey, what did you do for this? Or, hey, what do I need to see about this? Like, there's a bunch of them seem to show up with one of the biggest things for guys in Afghanistan was respiratory issues.
Yep.
Almost every single one of them is on a CPAP or decreased lung capacity and stuff, myself included. And unless I hadn't or had got tested for it, I would have never known.
Yep.
So,
So many veterans just try to embrace the suck.
yeah.
Right.
Oh, God.
So,
Yes,
so we don't go to the sick call. Right. And so you were smart, but most veterans, what we found is they didn't go to sick call.
yeah,
They
it'll
just,
pass.
it'll pass. And,
Good.
and even when they were injured to where something was, they minimized the injury.
Yeah.
So now here they are years later because maybe they didn't even know they could file.
Yeah.
And even if they did file, they got rejected. And this is where I believe the change. So we're all familiar where 22 veterans a day commit suicide.
Yep.
Well, there are a portion of those veterans to where if we could get them the proper care that they need, they might not do that.
Oh, you're instilling
And
hope too.
yes.
Like, because a lot of them, it's like just you look at. I mean, we're here in Baltimore. At Reveille Grounds,
Amazing place.
very cool place, and I need to put that into the intro as
Yeah.
well. Which probably at this point I already have. So now it's going to make.
There you go.
But but you go down to the Baltimore VA and stuff, and sometimes I just see like or here and there, man, I wish I could figure out this rating thing, or it always seems to be that you'll hear if you're waiting for an appointment any amount of time, you'll hear that conversation, and it's sad to hear that.
Most veterans quit.
Yeah.
So they get one rejection, they may file an appeal, right, and then they're just done.
Yeah.
And so all that happens is they didn't know like the language. They didn't know what they need. They didn't know how to do this. And that's what I'm trying to change.
You remind me of something too, just to break it down, because the same thing too, when I heard Nexus letters and stuff and what this is doing for people, how many times have you actually personally found too, someone under you, or I could see you doing this too, is you're trying to either put in for a ward or go to a school or something like that. They're not going to, that leader, they have so many different things. So it's better off if you come to them with that pre-filled out.
Yep.
And if it's filled out right and correctly, that's when they'll look it over. Yep. Hey, maybe you missed that or something there. But more times than not, all right, Roger that. Here you go. And it's the same.
Most doctors are afraid. They're afraid. So now they're taking liability.
Yeah.
Basically saying your one disability is connected to another. And that's the beauty of this program, because it actually gives them statistical information and medical journal citations, so that then if they even want to, and I've had people who have went through the process, their doctor literally looked it up while they were in the office together, said, yep, that's it. There's the citation right there. I feel comfortable. Bam, they sign it and it's done. It's already pre-written. It has the citation in it so that when the VA gets it, all they have to do is look up the citation.
Yep.
Right. And so now everything is there written, and it's in one nice, neat document. And the majority of doctors we have seen will fill it out. And the other ones that haven't, we've actually trained our model on what they wanted. So now the AI model got actually smarter from the doctors and said, hey, we would want this. Some of the doctors, it's in the wording of causality.
Yeah.
Right. So just changing the wording of this may potentially be a causality. And then that was enough to get the other doctors to say, yep, no problem at all, because it wasn't positive. Right. It left a little bit of room for them to where they
safety buffer zone.
Safety buffer zone.
Yep.
And all that you have to do is fulfill the requirements of the CFR, which that letter is written based on the training of the AI model. So it wrote it as the requirements of the CFR. So as a VA rater is going through it, they're just saying check 1, check 2, check 3. Yep, that's good. That's admissible, and you're good.
Yeah. And so where are you at in the rollout of all of this? I know I've seen some stuff sign up for testing and stuff, and I know it's the startup phase.
So we had over 25 veterans that signed up for the testing and the prototyping.
Yeah.
And so far, we have 83% success rate. And on the 17%,
First time go.
Oh, man. First time go. Right. So we took it and we basically flipped the entire dynamic. It used to be a 70% rejection rate. We are seeing an 83%. And on the 17% that did not get it, we actually trained the AI model on the reasons why. So now the AI model is even smarter
For this,
Watch for this. This is the additional documentation that they wanted and everything. So we are in the middle of the rollout. The platform's supposed to roll out November 9th.
Okay.
And that's when it'll be available. It is a one-time fee. And this is the other beauty part. It's a one-time fee of $99. And that is a lifetime fee for the rest of your life, because most veterans file anywhere from 4 to 7 claims.
Yeah.
And so you have this platform, you pay a one-time fee of $99,
Go back.
and you have the rest of your life. And it actually has a database that tracks the last time you used it so that you can get your answers from the last time. So if you're following an increase or anything,
Yeah.
you have all of your previous answers right in there. So it is almost like a little mini medical record into it.
Yeah. Well, and I know a lot of that costs too. Like, there's server processing, you know, there's a lot of the space. Like, so, I mean, to have that end of it to cover those costs, that's amazing.
Yeah. It's
You know,
pretty
that's
fantastic.
nothing to where, like you
Right.
said, they're taking percentages. Some of these
Yes.
predatory, and you see a lot of the other ones, don't feed the sharks and
Yep.
stuff.
And there are a couple other platforms within the competition, but they only do to where they'll give you suggestions on how to file your claim. They don't do the lifetime access. They don't do the interactive avatar. They don't do the Nexus reports. They don't do the personal statements. So what I wanted to create in this was a one fully encompassing platform to where wielded with that, you could be just as smart as the VA.
You put
and you would,
into
yeah, no, and it's a passion project, right? Because I wasn't smart enough when I was filing mine, and I actually used this AI platform to get increases that I had quit on years ago. So this told me exactly what to file and how to file it and why I was rejected before.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
November. That's
November 9th.
exciting times.
Yeah.
Very cool. Where can people find you out there? Because I mean, I know we got quite a few, and we'll put links and stuff.
No, so the easiest place, and I would love people to connect with me on LinkedIn. I have a great LinkedIn network. We do a lot of posts about leadership. So if you're interested in learning about leadership, AI, or veteran activities, and about Vet Mentor, we have a Vet Mentor AI, LinkedIn page
going on.
and then my personal page. I invite everybody to link up with me, because even if you're, leery, or if you need advice, or if you need, you want to know how it works more, I love the personal connection. That's the entire reason why I do this. This is the entire reason why I started these companies, was the personal connection. Because honestly, the tagline for Vet Mentor AI is, we really do want to change the world for the heroes that protect ours. Too long they have been forgotten. And everyone that I've ever been at these meetings where I've announced it or I've pitched it or whatever, somebody has a story about a father, a nephew, a grandfather, a grandmother, family member who struggled and wasn't able to get their disability. What if we could end that for everybody, right? And then that's really the goal. But find me on LinkedIn. We do a lot of work there, and then you'll give all the websites.
Yeah, and I mean, really after this, I think at the tail end is where I wanted to put something. We talked about doing a quick demo. How that works. So I mean,
we can
stay
walk
tuned
that through
for after this and stuff, and we're going to walk through, but I'll probably end up putting that on the YouTube channel.
Okay. Awesome.
But Paul,
thank you. It's amazing, man.
With this.
Yeah, it's always good to spend time with you.
All right, Paul, I know I'm off camera on this one, but run us through this test of this thing. This is amazing. This is awesome.
So I'm excited to show everybody. So the tagline for it is changing the world for the heroes that protect ours. And that's the whole point. So it's a really simple format for the application. You'll have a dashboard where you'll have all the things that are available to you. There's a claim optimization report, which we're going to start with. Then from that, it will actually generate the Nexus statement. It'll generate the personal statement. And at the end, I'm going to show you probably the best part of this is the interactive avatar where we do a CNP exam. So for the claims report, we're just going to put in, let's just say John Smith, and we're going to make up some information. So johnsmith@gmail.com, and let's just say 410. All right. So branch of service, if you're like me, proud to be a Marine, so hoorah. And then what we'll do is we'll just take a fictitious date, right? So we'll say 2015, it was October 13th. So that's when I went in, and let's say I just served, 11 years. So let's go back to October 13th of 2024. We'll say September 13th. So right about 11 years service, or no, I'm sorry, about 9 years service. All right, my rank at discharge was a sergeant. I had an honorable discharge, let's just say. Was I ever deployed to a combat zone? So we'll say yes. And in here, because what this does is this will actually pick up for the PACT Act and any other presumptive conditions. So we're going to say Iraq, let's say Afghanistan, and you don't have to spell it right. If you can't spell it right or you don't want to, it's all good. Do you have a service-connected disability? Let's say for this one, yes, and my left-hand knee is covered at 20% already. And what I want to do is I want to file some additional claims, right? So I already got one, accepted. So list any other disabilities. So I want to say PTSD, and I want to say migraines and tinnitus. All right. So these are the things that I'm struggling with. Are there any new disabilities? So for this one, yep, migraines, tinnitus, and PTSD. All right. Did you sustain any injuries while in your service? So let's just say I left hand knee surgery in 2000. We're going to say 2015. All right. And have you sought medical treatment? So we're going to say multiple times and multiple different doctors. And this will actually get us for the migraines. All right. So we've seen the doctor for the migraines. Are there any conditions that affect your ability to work? So yes. So in this one, like most veterans, migraines impact my ability to work. And for this one also, we're going to say PTSD. Have you ever filed a disability claim with the VA before? What this is doing in the background is it's actually allowing you to see maybe you didn't get the rating that you deserve from the original one. So we're going to say left-hand knee, 20%. Are you currently employed? Yes. What's your job? This is because what we have to do as part of your claim, and depending on whether it impacts your work, it could be higher rating. So this actually analyzes what your job is, and it can detect if you should get a higher rating. Do you have any spouse or dependent or children? This is going to change your rating and as far as how much you get, right? Because of the dependence thing. So let's say here, PTSD, hearing loss, I'm having some back, neck, or joint pain, right? And kind of everything else. So are there any additional comments or information? So migraines and tinnitus are flaring up. Okay. And then what we ask everybody to do is just a consent. So do you consent to have your information processed with AI? And then we're going to generate. So right now it's generating the report, tells you success. So it takes about 30 seconds to generate the report. And what's happening here is your report is actually going into a background AI system, and it's being analyzed so that it can actually optimize your disability claim. So now your report is generated. So what this has done is it's basically taking your information, and there you can see my branch of service, claimed disabilities, right? And then service-connected disability. So this document articulates the case for approval. And then so what it's going to do now is it's going to go through the medical records that I've either given it and the information that I've given it to try to actually create the optimized claim. So we go down a little bit. The diagnosis. So that's important because the CFR says that you must have a current diagnosis of the disability that you're claiming. So a lot of veterans get this wrong, where maybe they had something in the past, but they don't have a current diagnosis. So this is going to prompt that. Again, the nexus statement, which we're going to go create. And then tinnitus has been recorded, which is a common service-related disability. So it talks about that. The lay evidence. So this is the evidence. So the veteran reports a decline. You're going to see these things when we generate the other reports. So what this is doing is it's feeding off of it, and this is all written per the CFR. You're going to start to see the CFR actually highlighted in this. So there again, impacts of disability on my life. Because I said it did impact my work, it's actually generating how it impacts my work based on my job. According to to the CFR 38.130 regarding medical disorders due to traumatic stress. So here is where it's actually finding the CFR applicable thing so that you could even look it up afterwards. Most veterans do not even know that that exists, right? And so this is where our diagnostic codes come from. Identified weaknesses and recommendations. So enhancing the claim through medical evaluations, addressing severity of migraines. This actually tells you as the veteran what you should go do before you file this claim. And if you have this information, it will bolster your claim. Even something, a submission of personal statements, which, oh, by the way, this platform actually helps you build, will help you with your claim. Additionally, most veterans don't know, and they only file primary conditions. But what this does is it picks up the secondary conditions that may be available. Now, depending on what you file, this will all change, right? So the secondary conditions here, because originally I had put a knee injury, it's pulling up that chronic pain could be, and chronic pain can actually exacerbate my mental disorder. So because I can't do normal life, it may make me more depressed. And so that would be a claim that I could file. So next steps. So this is actually telling the veteran what they should do. So, and again, this will change depending on what you put in there. It could be more specific. If it thinks that you need documentation, it will tell you to do that. So, and then at the bottom, it will tell you reference 38 CFR 4.130 and any other sections. You can go read the exact thing you need to be prepared. So then for this one, because I'm doing secondary claims, I need a nexus letter. So what we'll do is all you have to do, it's one click, and we're going to generate a nexus letter for our doctor. And so right now it's taking my initial optimized claim information, and it has created me in that little of a time an entire nexus letter. And so we can actually go in here and copy and paste this into a Word doc and take out insert claim number, insert date, and allow your doctor to fill all of this information. So the nexus letter is prepared to support the disability claim of Mr. John Smith for PTSD, migraines, and tinnitus. So it's saying how everything is combined. It even goes into the Code of Federal Regulations, Title 38, PTSD can be connected to service if it's linked to a traumatic event. So here's all of the things. Most veterans don't know there's actually something called combat-related migraines. And so what this did, it actually pulled the report up where the medical substantiation is on that, so that your doctor could look that report up.
That is wild.
And find the correlation. PTSD, the rationale. So this is the rationale. The Mayo Clinic supports the connections between migraines and stress, which is most likely abundant during Mr. Smith's service, because I had said that I was in combat in this example. So there is an actual study, the impact of deployment on migraine headaches in military personnel. In final conclusion is a statement that's literally written by, for your doctor. And what this does, because of feedback from the system, is it protects your doctor. It allows a buffer zone between the VA and your doctor. And this is really amazing. So then next we'll go to the personal lay statement. So most people don't realize that a personal lay statement will actually change the ability of you to get your disability. And it can increase the severity of your disability, because what you're doing in this personal statement is you're actually showing that it impacts your life. And as veterans know, all disabilities, whether they're big or small, impact our life. So what we've done now is it takes the entirety of our nexus letter and our optimized report, and it builds an entire letter for you, the veteran. So my name is John Smith, because I told it my name was John Smith. And so it goes through everything. It even puts when I got my surgery and what I was granted. My migraines have worsened over time, frequently incapacitating me. The wording that this use is based off of the VA rating manual. And that's important because if your personal statement isn't written to the VA manual, you are leaving money on the table. So as we go through this, you can see an entire thing where it goes into about PTSD. I find myself feeling overwhelmed in stressful situations, leading to anxiety, depression, and difficulty in maintaining focus. So what it's doing is it's building the case of the impact to you. And that's the whole purpose of a personalized statement. Okay, so the next thing and the most important part of any veteran's disability claim is your C&P exam. And up till now, you go into this exam blind. What I'm going to show you is our interactive avatar. So we have created a speech-to-speech interactive avatar that allows you to practice your C&P exam. In this example, we're going to use migraines and PTSD. And I'm going to show you how this works. So you would pick your avatar, and we'll have a selection of avatars as the program and the platform expands. And so as this is initializing, I want you to start the medical exam.
Sure, let's get started. Can you please tell me about the specific disability claim you are filing for today? This will help me focus our discussion on the areas that are most relevant to your condition.
I want to claim migraines and PTSD.
Understood. Let's start with migraines. Can you describe the frequency and severity of your episodes? Also, let me know if there are any specific triggers or symptoms you experience with them.
I'm having 2 to 3 different migraines per week, and sometimes I can't work.
That sounds challenging. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate? And do you experience any other symptoms along with nausea, sensitivity to light, or aura?
They are an 8 out of 10, and sometimes I have light sensitivity.
Thank you for sharing. Now let's talk about your PTSD. How does it affect your daily life? And what specific symptoms? I'm sorry to hear that. How often do these nightmares occur? And do they impact your ability to sleep through the night? Also, during the day, do you find yourself avoiding certain places or situations because they remind you?
So yes, I have anxiety and sometimes nightmares, and sometimes I'm triggered by places.
Thank you for sharing that. It sounds like these symptoms can be quite impactful. Although tell me if these experiences are interfering with your work or personal relationships. Also, do you have any coping mechanisms or treatments that help manage these symptoms?
Yes, they impact my work because I did not get a promotion and my girlfriend left me.
I'm really sorry to hear about these challenges. It's clear that your symptoms are significantly affecting your life. Are you currently receiving any form of treatment or therapy for your migraines or PTSD? If so, how effective has it been in managing your symptoms?
I take medicine for the migraines and I still have them every single week.
It sounds like the medication may not be fully effective in controlling your migraines.
So
This with your health.
what she's doing right now is going through the disability questionnaire.
Understand.
So I'm going to. So what this allows the veteran to do, and I appreciate you walking through this, this allows the veteran to actually go through a DBQ with a provider. And this is an AI provider who is asking questions directly from the DBQs. I've trained it to ask them not in sequential order and also to change the format of the questions, just like a real examiner. And what you've seen here is she's asked me to follow the DBQ about impact to work, severity, and if I've actually received any kind of treatment for it. So she is showing if I've got a current diagnosis. All of these things are the rating scales from the VA examiners.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Veteran Success Story. If you want to learn more about Paul Helenski's work with VetMentor AI, look up vetmentorai.com. I'll also provide the links for VetMentor AI and Paul Helenski's professional LinkedIn profile within the episode description. Stay tuned as we have a lot more exciting guests coming along the way with information that we think would be valuable to the veteran community. It's through each other and through collaboration that that's what inspired us to put this whole thing together, is that we're better together as a community. And really what goes into our credo here is that we're stronger together. Thanks again for listening. And until next time, this is Veteran Success Story.